stand-up paddleboards that are in that creek, because only 3 years ago the creek was empty. You'd see the odd dinghy. People didn't really want to swim in it, really. You know, the dog beach and the pirate park happened only 4 whatever years ago, and that brought, you know, official, okay, everyone, you're allowed to bring your dogs here, like real zones. And sure enough, boom, they build a car park and 1 million families show up for the pirate park, which is good and bad, you know. Yeah. It's real zoning stuff, but hey, I guess that's the new world. I don't really love it. And I remember going, not a pirate park, because I know what that brings. It brings kids in festivals, blah, blah. But anyway, that's just how it is. But when you see the stand-up paddleboards on the creek, and then you told me that you used to work for Darcy, right? Now, what'd you do in the actual boat shed?
No. In the boat shed used to, Jeff Darby and Neil Purchase used to shape boards out of the what is now the Boat Shed restaurant. At the time, I was working at another surfboard place in Traders Way called Screaming Lizards, and we used to do repairs for Neil and for Jeff at times. We used to do all the repairs for Nev's. Back when Nev had his big shop on the highway before he'd opened his own factory, but I went and worked in there. At that point, that was one of the largest surfboard factories going at that point. He was making 20 boards a day, which is a lot of surfboards to be pumping out, obviously going overseas, Japan, South America. But
what was different then, though? What do they do? You've got an epoxy board. I know that's new.
Yeah, I've got a couple of... I've got a Tough Light, which is one form of epoxy board, and I've got a Firewire, which is a different form. But they have better flotation than normal polyester surfboard. Jury's out on whether they're really that much stronger. The Tough Light is made in a way that's fairly strong, but it also has so much buoyancy that certain surfers would find it a little too buoyant, and when it gets bumpy, that can affect its performance. But in small, clean surf, the Tough Lights are fantastic because of that buoyancy, and the Firewire, to me, is somewhere in between the extreme buoyancy of the Tough Light and a normal polyester board. But Firewires are what Nev went on to make when he shut down his normal operation. So they're epoxy boards with some fancy sort of core in it. I don't know what it is. The Tough Lights are like epoxy foam, like esky foam, basically. And they wrap that in PVC, I believe, and then glass it. Very strong, very light, and very enjoyable to ride.
And I don't consider you an old bloke at all. That's why we call you the Cloon. You're a handsome bastard. But, I got to know, mate. I've got to know.
Good head for podcast.
Yeah, me too. The Currumbin and Currumbin Valley is only new to me, but it's old enough for me to be pretty interested in some kind of history. So it doesn't look like it's changed that much. If I was to... It kind of has, but nothing significant. They probably knocked down all the fibro shacks, the asbestos workspaces. I know that shop you're talking about, Screaming Lizard, that's still there now. It's the Dust Temple, right? Is that right? Is it that's the new little arty cafe bar?
No.
It was actually... became Burning Spears.
It was in the corner of where we are.
Oh.
In the corner of Traders Way.
Really?
Yeah. Oh. But it's where there's a whole lot of little factories in there now. At that time, it was just a shed, like a Titan style.
Oh, where
shed.
Shapers is?
And I don't know who's there now.
Okay.
But it was a shed that a guy who owned it made his boards in there, and his house was right beside it. And eventually he sold all that land. It was subdivided and turned into the factories that it is. So when I worked there, it was basically a big vacant block of land opposite the park.
Wow. What sort of year?
94, 95.
Could you see the creek?
Oh, yeah. It was right. His house was right beside the... actually, there's part of the creek that comes in. It's really just a drainage channel. Yeah. But it was very nice. You know, in summer, every Friday arvo would be a six-pack and cricket. In winter, it'd be football, and there'd be kids that would come and play. And you know, it was a very family orientated scene, that factory. A husband and wife, you know, and their kids, and it was great fun. But the other guy that worked there with me, we'd sneak off during the day and go surfing. And the amount of times we surfed the Alley and Lacey's, in particular, in winter when Lacey's would get a decent bank. Sometimes through the day we'd be surfing with just a half a dozen guys, and under no illusions, the Gold Coast was pretty crowded back then too, but we definitely scored some classic sort of empty days compared to now. And of course, you didn't have the same level of crowd, and you didn't have the paddleboarders, stand-up paddleboarders in there as well at places like the alley, where it's easier for them to.
The Bowls Club would have still been there. I'm thinking about Lacey's and
the Bowls Club was there.
The Bowls Club. I can barely remember that.
Lacey's can be such a fat, frustrating, useless wave, and then every now and then the bank will build up, and it just, over the years at times, it's produced some fantastic. Go back to about early 2000s, I don't know what year it was, but there was a bank that formed out there, and it was just barrelling like you wouldn't believe. Not what you expect at all from Lacey's Lane. It's just amazing.
How did you get there, but did you paddle over the alley, or did you... it's a mission. For someone lazy as me, that's what I'm saying. The Bowls Club, and then I'm thinking about the high-rise that's there.
Yeah,
what was it before that high-rise there? I remember...
They've been there for years. I can't remember what was...
Do you remember there was a little surf shop opposite that high-rise building? And I'm talking when I was 14, remember going to the Gold Coast, staying there for 2 weeks in Palm Beach. And,
okay.
I had a Vision Gator skateboard.
Right.
And I went down, my mate and I, we just went up and down the Palm Beach Gold Coast Highway on our skateboards for 2 weeks solid. And we never went too far south because there was this little surf shop and it had a little like pinball game in there.
All right.
But I remember going in there and seeing all these like real cool surfer kids. I was just a little maggot from Logan, Brisbane sort of thing. And one of the kids paid me out, and we never went back down there because I had a Vision Gator skateboard with all the little plastic trims, like the skid plate on the back, all these like useless little plastic trims. And the kid said something so funny that I never forgot. He looks at me and went, and he's a totally blonde surfer kid. It's probably you, right?
That's not true.
Yeah. And just said, flares. And everyone in the surfboard shop just laughed. And I was like,
no. Young teenagers.
It broke me. I'll tell you now, it broke me.
Crushed.
No, but that was funny, just like these little cool surfer kids. But there was a definite surfboard shop right opposite those high rises there, and I can't. Okay. I don't know who or what it was, but it was a real shapers. It was quite small, and you could just see the board in the booth.
I remember that one.
Real interesting place.
Oh yeah, the whole too cool for school aspect of the surfing thing.
Tribal. I understand. Maybe we were at Snapper on Sunday because of the Quickie Pro, and we spent all day. I tried to spend all day. Even had an umbrella like a family guy. And I'm just looking at the amount of kids, like little kids. This is competition week. And they were doing an expression session, but before that, they had to move everyone out of the break because of the expression session. Am I saying that right? Sounds weird to say. Yeah? Anyway, they had to move them all, but most of them were like 7-year-old kids who've been ripping on the wave all morning. And they were getting out totally alone. I'm thinking, man, it's one thing to be a good surfer kid, right? And your dad's been pushing you into the alley.
Yeah. But
to actually do that at Snapper and Greenmount, wow, imagine that. And it's competition week, and you don't even care. It's like, no, I do this every day. Parko, Mick, get out of the way, and they probably know your name back front anyway. Yeah. There were so many of these little kids.
Oh, the standard is just unbelievable. It really is.
It's like they just float on the water.
Who knows where it'll end up? I mean, look at women's surfing now. When back at the birth of the Pro Tour, you'd sort of, there were some very good women surfers around, but over time, the gap in performance has just disappeared to the point where the women surfers now are spectacular to watch and fantastic to watch. It's really enjoyable to see them ripping like that, I think, because over the years, where I grew up as a grommet in Sydney, there were some young girls that used to surf around Tamarama and Bondi, and some of them were really good. One of them went on to become world champ, Pauline Mensah, and these girls were out in the surf like any other little grommet, and they surf rings around so many guys, but they had to deal with the silly male superiority attitude that was inherent in the whole surfing culture. But that appears to be getting knocked down bit by bit, certainly by the performance of women now in the surf. I mean, those girls surf rings around so many Joe Blow surfers now. It's great to see.
What do you think of those bikinis, bud? I don't want to even say anything controversial.
Is this a trick question?
Well, no, you don't even have to answer it, but I'll be honest, man. I'm a man. I have instincts. I'm an above-board gentleman, and I'm probably one of the best. But I can't stop looking. If I see bare ass cheeks, I for one can't stop looking, and I don't want to be a dirtbag. I'm not like going, but I'm like, and they're often these fit, beautiful surfer girls, with these great asses, and especially at Snapper this week, there's just so many of them, and like the Foo Fighters played, like Dave Grohl, I actually went there and watched half of the Foo Fighters play. Andrew from Wolfmother was there. It was this really cool cover band session. It was really, really cool, and it was beautiful afternoon in Snapper, and so a lot of people are there. A lot of people straight from work. I've got to tell you though, when you're standing there in normal sort of clothes with or around other people, and there's still a whole bunch of girls just with their ass cheeks hanging out, it's awkward, man. And it's not. And I don't even really. I'm not even want to say I don't like it, and I'm all for anyone doing anything they want. They probably just got straight out of the water, but I got to acknowledge it's awkward sometimes, man.
Well, that's true. That comes with the territory, though, doesn't it? It's the Gold Coast. It's a beach culture where. Good. You know, I mean, those girls are no doubt, all those times they've watched you walk past in a pair of board shorts going, oh, look at that.
Good call. Fair call. You're exactly right. You're exactly right. I'm not slate. I'm just bringing up, because it is kind of new news, would you know? You do.
I know exactly what you mean. Some girls have seen the surf like that. I think, can they be that comfortable surfing in bikini bottoms like that? I mean, you ever been surfing in sluggos?
Never.
Not that any self-respecting person would ever admit to that. But, it's like, oh, no.
But the reason I raise that is because you could imagine, we're cavemen, we really are. We're not that far away from cavemen. When you talk bloke to bloke with someone, the caveman stuff comes out as a natural form of, how are you, mate? Oh, look at those chicks, yeah. You know, it's the way we do our conversation with a stranger by nature, don't you agree? In some respect,
to an extent,
you feel each other out, yeah, mate. Oh, yeah. So I could imagine being in the surf, and a couple of girls come in, and there's only sort of 6 guys on the wave, and some of them are real fit, beautiful girls. The caveman would come out, and whether. Oh, geez, I know I'm digging myself in a hole. I know I'm just saying the dumbest crap, but.
I'm preparing a rope.
Yeah, God. You know, what actually happens? Is it I'm going to stop there. Because wouldn't it be tough being a woman? Wouldn't it?
Oh, exactly.
Could you imagine the creeps?
If you give consideration to the other side of what you've just been jokingly saying, yes, we couldn't conceive of what it's like to be
To just be
a
creeped
woman
on.
putting up with sexist rubbish all the time.
All the time. I'm talking all the time. Imagine that.
Well, the thing is,
Constantly.
half the time, I suppose so many people do stuff like that without realising what they're doing, and then none of it's cut and dried too, unfortunately. People have bad experiences with the opposite sex and then treat the rest of the opposite sex, blame them for the bad experience of one person, which is very unfair. Or, this is one scenario. But, I don't think a man can really conceive of what it must be like to grow up in a sexist world as a woman.
No.
No.
I reckon it would be really annoying. I couldn't imagine being... you think of the big monkey caveman blokes that are constantly, hey baby, yeah, you go, yeah. No doubt you grow up and that's what you're used to. So what is that great Porno for Pyros line? Cursed to be born a woman, beautiful born a female. There's none that suffer more. Like you are somewhat guided through life on this great cloud. Everyone's trying to give you things, but at the same time you're this shining light. Like you attract all the creeps. It'd be hard work, mate. Something we would never understand.
Be a double whammy, I'd sort of imagine, because you'd have the inappropriate sexual interest, but then you'd have the very annoying aspect of not being taken